It's time for us to break loose with Wreckloose, Cybertron Wreckloose. He's going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe while you're at it, light 'em up, baby. And hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton. It lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we have to offer to you through Spring, or of course you can hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member. And this is Cybertron Wreckloose. We all know I'm not a Unicron Trilogy guy, so I'm not super familiar with this. I do know that this is a Scout class mold that was released in North America, but not in Japan, as part of Galaxy Force. Is that what it was? He seems to turn into a Komodo Dragon. That's what it looks like to me. I didn't even know for the longest time that there was a Komodo Dragon Transformer, so I'm kind of charmed by this guy. Is he perfect? Is he strong? I don't know, but we're about to find out when we head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. And so we kick things off here with Cybertron Wreckloose. This is a Scout class offering. It was a Decepticon from Jungle Planet. Apparently he was fairly vicious and like to set traps for Autobots and whatnot, so you know, it is what it is. Again, this is an example of one of those Scout class offerings that apparently was not released in Japan in the Galaxy Force, is that what it was? Line. So, exclusive outside of Japan, I suppose. That being said, we have a nice looking, I'm going to say Komodo Dragon alt mode here. A lot of different coloration, but I'm cool with it. I like the coloration of it. That being said, while I like the coloration of it, we literally have no fiction for this guy as far as I know. So we have nothing to compare to. So by default, I have to give him a 10 because he's the colors that he was. He's never been updated. This is the only iteration of this character. So good start, I suppose. We're just going to kind of straighten him up here a little bit. I'm very quickly going to take this off, though it stores in there just fine. We're going to talk about that with the Cyber Planet key in a few minutes. In terms of the like Komodo Dragon mode, we have legs that can go back and forward and whatnot, and I guess a knee, if you will. And I suppose if you want to turn it around, you could. We have the tail that's together, and it moves up here at what is essentially the waist, and then down here at what is essentially the knees. That came unpegged, though. The head, I don't think moves, or the jaw open or anything. No, it doesn't seem to. The arms, they can of course move out to the side and whatnot. Again, a knee, and because of the way the hand is, I mean the toe I guess can sort of tilt forward. So there's a lot there that I think is capable of being manipulated in animal mode. A lot of times when we get in animal mode, it's very static. So I'm cool that this guy isn't that static. Before we go too far, this is his accessory. It goes on the Dragon mode, I'm calling it Dragon mode, via this peg right here. That weird shaped, almost T-peg can fit in his hand. It can also fit in a slot kind of under his forearm. So this can be like a shield, or it can be some sort of a like melee thing. That being said, if you take it like this and take a Cyber Planet key, this is not the one that came with him. This is just the one that Maximal 10 kind of gave me. Shout out to Maximal 10. He owns this, and this is why I'm getting a chance to look at it. If you take the Cyber Planet key, and it should be able to, yeah, fit in there, it makes these like antler pieces come out. I call them antlers. I don't know what they actually are, but I call them antler pieces. I think it's neat, but it would be hard to put this in his hand with the Cyber Planet key in. You could put it on his arm, but that's what the Cyber Planet key does. Alright, so back to our main boy. We're going to do the transformation and see if it kind of continues on being a 10, because so far, I mean by default, the coloration's a 10. So we begin by really splitting the tail. I'm going to do that. I'm going to put that down and put that down. That's really his feet. I'm going to turn at the waist this way, and I'm going to turn at really below the knee and below the knee. I'm going to take these rear legs and they're going to kind of just rest here on the side. I guess if you wanted, you could also like turn them around. Like if you wanted the legs to be like that. Like it's, what you do with these is sort of your own thing. I'm going to turn them like that because it's just a little more, I don't know, slender on his leg, I guess. I don't think that you're supposed to, but I'm going to anyway, because why not? Then the upper body and the head splits open. There's the robot mode head. And you can bring these head pieces down thusly. And then you flip that up to give you a hand, and flip that up to give you a hand. Some people do different things here with the arms. They either leave it this way, or they turn it all the way around and put that opening on the top and down at the bottom. But when you do that, you lose a bit of a elbow. So what I like to do is it this way? This way. Yeah, what I like to do is take the shoulder and bring the pin out, and then that gives me like as deep of an elbow as I'm possibly gonna get. But in the end, basically, here we have our boy Wreckloose, boom, in his robot mode. I'm gonna clean him up and then we'll talk about his transformation and his articulation. And now this is the configuration that I use. Some people prefer to have the side of the head facing out instead of like having it flat like this. Like some people prefer to have the head sort of left in this orientation with the arm and the shoulder in front. Some people prefer to have it down like this. I prefer to have it down like this so that I can position the shoulder that the pin is facing forward, which actually gives me the deepest elbow possible with the, the hand being what it is. Like he does suffer because of the way the hand folds up. The arm can still go all the way out because of the shoulder hinge up here. But in terms of forward and back, even though that's pinned, this whole piece moves. So you get your right around with the shoulder pad, right? The transformation, I think it's interesting. I think it's effective. And I think it's fun. I think it's an enjoyable transformation, honestly. It's interesting enough to be interesting without being complicated enough to be frustrating. So I'm going to give it a solid 9. Solid 9. So a 9 and 10, 9.5. What about the articulation for this guy? Well, as you can see, we have this on his forearm. It's big, it's cumbersome, it's clunky. So we could take that off his forearm. It could go in his hand. I mean, it is what it is. The head goes left and, see if I can do this, left and right. No up and down. The arm, as I showed you, goes all the way around. It can go out. It can bend at the elbow. We have a swivel because of the way the hinges are. It's more of a ball joint, if I'm not mistaken. It seems like a double hinged elbow. Again, if you want, you could bring this forward and then you could, use the shoulder this way and have it out. Like, because of the hinge going out on the half head, because of the way the shoulder hinge is done and the elbow, you can really do anything you want with the arms. It's almost endless. I love the arms. I think the head is functional. Up and down would be nice. The waist is really cool. It works very clear, very easy. We have a knee that's not quite 90 degrees, but it's pretty good. Is it any better on this leg? Not that. I mean, it looks like you might be able to push it a bit more, but I'm not doing that. You got a swivel, which I like. Some people have said that you could like manipulate the leg inward. I guess you can because there's a ball joint here, but to say I feel good about, I guess you can. If you want to do that, I guess you could. I think that's, I don't know. That's a weird joint. I'm not sure what it really gets you. The only real weakness with this guy is the hips. They can go forward and they can go back, no problem. But because there's no cut up above the ball peg, going out to the side, that's it. This is as much out to the side as you're getting. That's a bummer. So when it comes to the articulation for the guy, I'm gonna have to give it, that's a real bummer. Everything on it works so stupendously well except for those hips. Because the hips are what they are, I'm gonna have to give it about a 7. He was scoring really good, and a simple cut on the top of the hip would make the articulation for this guy, honestly, about a 9.5. Maybe even a 10. It's specifically those hips that knock it down for me. Now, a real good customizer might be able to cut out a little notch there. If I owned this and it wasn't on loan for Maximal 10, I'd probably give it a try myself. Just so you could get the outward motion a little bit more. As it is, though, even with that kind of nitpicking limitation, I suppose, this guy is tremendous. One last thing before I get out of here, just for comparison's sake, so you have an idea of just how big or small this guy is. Here he is, next to a couple of versions of Kickback, of course, one being the new Legacy Deluxe class. So as a Scout class, yeah, this seems about right. And you see him next to the Titans Return, my custom Titans Return Kickback, and like again, Scout, that was the old Legends, right? It is what it is. On the whole, is this guy worth it? Yeah, I think he is, even with the hip limitation. Here we are, and here he is once again. And okay, so first things first, I love the coloration on it. I love the molded in detail. I love the texture. I love the paint details. I really dig the Komodo Dragon look of this guy. And I like that even because of his hips, you can kind of, and his knees, you can turn his tails. Come on. That's tremendous. I love it. I like, though I'm not a Cyber Planet key guy, I like that if you want, you can use it, but you don't have to. It doesn't affect transformation or anything. But if you put it in, the dude ends up basically with antlers. A Komodo Dragon with antlers. Come on. That's just cool. In terms of the transformation, I think the transformation is simplistic but brilliant. I think it's interesting and involved enough just to be interesting without being overbearing and obnoxious. Then we get to the articulation. I love the shoulders and the arms. There's so many ways to move it, it's almost endless. And while it's a bit weird, you can get pretty much any, movement in the arms and the shoulders that you want. You just got to reorient all of the various hinges and stuff in order to accomplish it. And there's a ton of them. It's surprisingly good articulation there. The waist is great, it's a waist. In terms of the legs, the feet, they're fine. The knees, they work fine. Being able to have that swivel sort of below the knee isn't a thigh swivel, but it gives you the same effect as a thigh swivel, really. And then we get to the hips. The weakest part of this guy is the hips. The way that they are kind of molded to go on there, I feel like maybe the top should have been molded out a bit more of an opening so that he could get an outward kick. Maybe a really good customizer would be able to cut the top of that to allow, for a further outward motion. But as it's designed, the outward motion of the hips is a real bummer and really hurt his articulation score when it was such a simple fix to do it. All you had to do was adjust the socket, basically, right? That being said, despite that one gripe about the hips, and though it's a significant gripe, everything else about this guy is so good. He was fun back in the day. He is fun now. There's nothing much more to say than that. Let me know what you think about old Wreckloose here. Is he a favorite of yours or not? I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we have to offer to you through Spring. Or, of course, you can hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member at any time, man. Hit the subscribe button, stick around, have some fun with us, and don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single day, you do make a difference. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.